the thing I said about wearing black velvet pants.
Yes.
Do you remember what you thought at the time?
About your pants? Or about your appearance with us?
I feel like I need to ask this question about like...
I don't remember the pants. I remember you being there, but I don't remember the pants.
Of course you don't.
So,
why would you remember my pants? Because they were black velvet.
Because you're still embarrassed about it. We make these...
How old are you?
I'm 63.
63. You look good for 63.
You look good for your 60.
Well, it's so funny. I'm going to blow a joke in my act, but I don't care. Bears repeating, but it is my act. Comics hate it when it's called an illegal spritz, but it came from something I really thought and said, which was, when people say you look great, the subtext is the unannouncement is for your age.
Right.
If I was 32 when I walked in, you'd be like, oh my God, were you in a fire?
What happened to you, dude? Yeah.
But that's all you can do. I mean, you can shave as, what do you think, 5 to 7 years by moisturizing and eating right.
Some of it is not, not looking older than you should, right? Being wrinkled
Clean
up.
living, it's my motto.
But a lot of it is just having a certain amount of vitality and youthfulness in how you feel about yourself.
Now, here's something I would put forth as a theory that
cannabis
if you have a lot,
as a youth product.
If you have I would never smoke that. But if you have a lot of sex, as we were talking before about your lovely sex life, you live longer because the DNA in your body feels like this is a person who is recreating the species a lot, so we need to keep him alive. Now, this is a theory I am basing on absolutely nothing but what I pull out of my ass.
I love it.
But I want to believe it.
I want to believe it too. It fits with...
if we want to believe it.
No, it fits with evolutionary theory, right? If somebody's effectively surviving and reproducing, nature would go, well, that's probably good.
That's what I say. I just can't believe I got you to sign on to it.
Listen, it's so funny you would bring this up. I've never said this to anybody. But Ernest Borgnine was being interviewed on the Today Show. I swear to God, this has a payout, I promise.
Kids, use your Googles to find out.
He was 94 or something and being interviewed on the Today Show. And they asked him the question, my God, how do you look so good? And do you know what he answered? I masturbate all the time. That's what he said on live TV.
Ernest Borgnine at the age of 94 said, I masturbate all the time.
Masturbate constantly. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Maybe he's on to something.
I think he was lying.
They went around a couple times because they were like, oh, he's kidding. Going, no, I'm quite serious.
I know, but I'm only 66. I say only compared to Ernest Borgnine. And I've slowed down from...
Oh, sure. The 60s is when you slow. But have you talked to Captain Kirk, to...
William Shatner.
William, he's amazing at his age.
About what?
Cognition and vitality and so he's just fun.
And what do you ascribe that to?
The fact that he can pull it off?
Yeah, why is he so healthy?
Well, the genetics. I mean, it's really when you get right down to it.
Genetics play a role. Yeah. I feel like genetics is a little overhyped compared to lifestyle. It's always germs and genetics.
Yeah.
And I think they are out of proportion to what it really is more, which is, how we live.
Well, which is, don't drink poisons, which we're doing tonight. And, and exercise regularly and watch your diet.
I drink compared to how I used to drink, I always say to the kids today, when you're 30, your body's almost too good. Almost too good because the fucking beating you can give it and not pay.
Yeah.
See, we pay. Why are we so careful now? Because we know the price in long-term health and just tomorrow or that night or, it's just not on the menu.
How about just not getting a good night's sleep? I'm just destroyed the next day.
Exactly.
That was never like that.
I needed, for some reason, answer this.
Yeah.
As a doctor, I usually sleep pretty good, although it may take me 10 hours in bed to get 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah, I know
that's okay.
I know what you mean.
But I get it.
Yeah.
I'm lucky. Most people are not that lucky. They have to get it with an alarm.
Yeah.
I'm lucky, and I appreciate it. But I went to Jacksonville a couple of weeks ago. I did Birmingham, woke up Saturday my normal time, 11 a.m. Flew to Birmingham, Alabama, did a show. Flew to Jacksonville, Florida, where I was playing the next night. Never slept. That night, all the next day, did the second show in Jacksonville on no sleep. Couldn't even sleep on the way back on the plane. From the moment I left LA, 2 cities, 2 shows later, I never slept. Why? What is that? Something where your brain just forgets how to turn off for no apparent reason?
Did you go too bad and you just were spinning and couldn't sleep?
Yeah, and I'm not.
Yeah, I've had some nights like that too, and they're almost inexplicable sometimes when they occur.
I'm saying it's like my body forgot how to just turn off.
Yeah, and sometimes I think there may be some sleep in there, you're just not perceiving it.
That could be.
I think that's part of it, but it certainly is not quality sleep.
But it was a good test of whether I lost my marbles. Because, as you age, you wonder, but to be able to do that second show on no sleep and not fuck it up.
Good for you. Well done, man. That's a deal.
I hope you didn't give me a COVID and diphtheria, and I'm fucking with you.
I've had COVID twice. I'm with you.
Twice?
Twice I had COVID. Did you have it twice?
No. No.
I had Alpha, and then I had Omicron.
Oh, Jesus.
It was awesome.
Were you suffering either time?
Alpha was rough.
Before the vaccine?
Yeah, I was trying to get the vaccine, and I got sick. Long story.
So was it compared to a bad flu? What was it?
It was way worse.
Way worse?
It was nasty. Yeah, I had a moderate to severe case, and monoclonal antibodies turned it around, instantly. It was unbelievable.
I mean, that first, the thing when it first came out had sharper claws.
Yeah. It was a rough, horrible thing. It's a horrible illness. There are lots of horrible illnesses. This was one of them. It was horrible.
It's not that horrible anymore.
No, Omicron was. If you have natural immunity or good vaccination status, Omicron was nothing. And I saw 100 cases.
What I keep saying, just on an anecdotal level, is that I can read the statistics of there are a couple of thousand people still dying a day, or they were as of whenever we're showing this, a week in February. So, okay, everybody, I know so many people. I'm sure I got it and didn't know I had it, which is the case for most people.
Yep.
Okay, but how could it be that everybody I know who had it, vaccinated and unvaccinated, has said it was nothing. It was like a hangover. I had it for 5 hours. It was a cold. And what is that? It tells me that if there are still people dying from it, it's such an unhealthy country to begin with, that even this mild thing can take you out.
It is people who are, it's not exclusively, I've seen idiosyncratic cases where Omicron has been pretty nasty in a young person, seen it. But for the most part, it's the risk population, it's the elderly, it's people with multiple medical problems. Yes. That's who is tipped over. They were always tipped over by infectious diseases of all types.
Of course, and everything else. Yeah. That's my whole thing is that, unless we get into our heads that the people have to participate in this battle, we'll be in shit. This is just the beginning. It'll always be something, and the answer will never be to, okay, you have to just meet us halfway.
Yeah.
If we're this unhealthy to begin with, any little thing is going to cause a panic and make us live crazy lives, masked and...
It's like we become hysterical.
Tested every fucking week. It's just like, come on.
We become histrionic. We become hysterical as a country. And it's very intriguing to me. Where did this come from? I've started to read more books about crowds and manias and madness of crowds and stuff because it's so uncanny to me.
What was the thing at the beginning of it? Didn't you say something that they lost their shit about it?
So, first of all, I was saying I could see the panic coming. I could see that what they were doing in Wuhan was what the journalists were pointing at and saying, we have to do that. And I thought, why? Literally, I had a local news broadcast for the first year of COVID. And when they decided to close the schools down, I brought a school board person. I said, who told you to do that?
Right.
What doctor decided that? No doctors. We think it's the right thing.
Would they do that with any other issue? It would be like, Johnson, local election, see what the Communist Party in China, what is their policy? Right. I'd like a position.
we need to make sure we follow it exactly, or maybe exceed it.
Exactly.
And so that was going on. And so I became hubristic. I overstated. I kept saying, calm down, stop it, don't listen to these people. And at the time...
No, that was just right.
It was just right, but it was too much. I said too much. And And I missed how infectious it was and how brutal it was for some people.
You told the truth. I know that's irresponsible.
I know. And I was crucified for it.
That's, there's so much crucifixion. You saw Whoopi.
I don't like that.
I don't either. And I don't agree with her, and she had just attacked me, and I still am going to defend. That's the whole point of free speech.
But it's also the point of being intellectually honest. You don't like cancellation. You think it's a bad thing, and it gets everybody. It's not. Don't think you're going to be excluded from cancellation. But I don't like it for her. I don't like it for you.
I don't believe she apologized, and
effectively.
I don't. It's like it's so communist. We make you kneel.
Yeah.
Or if you know the story of King Henry IV, the Emperor Henry IV, who had to kneel in the snow at Canossa. Do you know that from history? You're not a historian.
I am a little bit history, but not just British history.
Well,
so
it's often referred to as the height of the power of the papacy in the Middle Ages.
Right.
It was 1077, and the Holy Roman Emperor, the big dude in Europe, I forget what he did, but he pissed off the Pope. And the Pope made him travel to his country house in Canossa, Italy, and kneel in the snow for 4 days and nights. And he was the emperor.
Yeah,
I don't believe Whoopi meant that. And like...
She's on an opinion show.
And it's her opinion. It's a crazy, fucked up opinion.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm half Jewish. But
me too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We escaped the Ukrainian genocide, which a lot of people don't even know about.
Do you raise your kids Jewish?
No.
Oh.
I mean, a little bit.
You said it like, no.
A little bit.
Of course not.
Jewish? I'm like you.
Nuts?
I'm Jew.
What, with the crazy hair thing?
Jewish.
What's your wife?
She's Czech Goy.
Well, I just slap her ass when you said that.
Because that's sort of my habit.
But what religion?
She was really sort of Protestant,
Sort of Protestant?
I mean, it was loosey-goosey, like with me.
But definitely not Jewish.
Definitely not. In fact, I thought she was for a long time.
Was she a shiksa goddess to you?
Oh, yeah. Well, but I didn't really... I don't like clubs, although I like Club Random.
Hey, I'm sitting right here. What do you mean?
But I don't like things where people are excluded. It really bothers me.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and that's what bothered me about...
Especially when it's me.
There's about to be a hit piece on me in LA Magazine because I made a piece. I said an issue about... I made an issue of the vaccine passports, like excluding people. I don't like that. And especially African Americans who have been mistreated by my profession for 200 years.
Right.
They don't trust us. They shouldn't trust us.
Right.
Because of that distrust, you're going to exclude them from a restaurant? That's not a personal choice. That's insanity. That's segregation.
There's so much liberalism that went all the way around to woke, and then they just went all the way around to exactly what good liberals were always fighting.
Yes.
I mean, it's just insane how stupid.
And do we sound like old men complaining?
I don't care. You know, that's their dumb argument is always, they never engage me on the merits of the argument because they can't, because they'll lose. So it's like, oh, you're old. Yeah, but that's not an argument. Maybe I'm also right.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm right because I am old.
Right.
You know, like we're only the only stupidest country in the world that doesn't have the idea that older people generally are wiser. Not always. You can be old and stupid, but in general, the more days you live, the more things you learn, the more things you've seen, patterns over and over again.
You do.
Like you were saying,
you
saw
do.
1,000 cases of the same thing in medicine. Okay, so maybe that's why you're beautiful when you're young, and you're wiser. I mean, like every country in the world
Thanks for
gets
giving us
this
something.
on a very basic level. It's like the basic trade-off of life. Only this dumb fucking country wants to posit wisdom and beauty in youth, and it just doesn't exist.
No, that's exactly right. We've done it. When we were growing up, they did it in the 60s. Huge mistake.
Did what?
Posit wisdom in the youth. Remember?
That's where it started, you're right.
That was the first go-around with it, and then we kind of got over it.
They ended the war, because they didn't want to go.
Exactly, and then they were like, question, what was it? Don't believe anybody over 30, remember that? And we were part of that.
You're right. Well, I was a little young for that, and so were you. That was...
I remember it, though. I was a young adolescent. I remember...
Yeah, but we were too young to go to Woodstock.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we wouldn't be too young today to go to a Travis Scott concert.
But I would argue that yeah, that's right. I would argue it rained down on us, though. You know, we were young and we were seeing all this, and it was, you know, the kids that were ahead of us, and we were affected by it.
I was 12 in 1968, which was if 67 was the summer of love, that was the summer of hate. I was
10.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're a bright Jewish kid. And so
I was aware of it. I was watching it.
Of the Democratic Convention in Chicago with the violence, the assassinations of Kennedy and Martin Luther King. It was 2 months apart. I mean, it was
brutal.
Yeah,
it was a crazy time. But the fact that we are idolizing that time and sort of bringing it back is really
well, it was
disturbing.
Dramatic.
Yeah, it was dramatic.
And it's dramatic now.
Club Random is supported by SignalWire. If you've been on a video conference recently, you know how brutal the experience is with the current tools. Laggy, choppy video, crappy audio quality. It's painful and exhausting, but it doesn't have to be. That's where SignalWire comes in. SignalWire is a technology arsenal that allows developers to create better real-time video communication apps and do it fast. From the little things, like actually being able to hear subtle audio cues that help connect us in real conversations, to the big things, like being able to support broadcast quality audio and video for thousands of participants. SignalWire empowers developers to create more natural, real-time interactive experiences. And SignalWire provides developer-friendly APIs and SDKs to help you get your app up and running with a few clicks and a snippet of code, instead of months of complex development work. Visit signalwire.com/random to sign up for a free account and receive an additional 5,000 video minutes for testing your app or integration. Go to signalwire.com/random. Get communications APIs from the OGs of software-defined telecom at SignalWire. Go to signalwire.com/random today. We are supported by ZipRecruiter. If you're a business owner who's hiring, you probably face a lot of challenges when it comes to finding the right person for your role. There aren't enough applicants with the right skills, too many resumes to sort through, none of them accurate, and having no idea where to post the available job to find the right employee. That's why hiring can feel like trying to find a needle in a haystack. When you post a job on ZipRecruiter, their matching technology finds these qualified candidates for you and invites them to apply. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. No wonder ZipRecruiter is the #1 rated hiring site in the US. So, while other companies give you too many options, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter for free at this web address, ziprecruiter.com/random. That's ziprecruiter.com/random.
Let me tell you a little story about how dumb we are. I think you'll like this. There's a book out there called Albion Seed. And Albion is the old name for the British Isles, like the ancient name.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And he, in this book, chronicles what was coming out of England and going where in the United States. There were basically 3 or 4 large exoduses from England. And, you know, one was like Quakers, and one was New England and their whole thing. And the other was the northern folks in Scotland and northern England. And they went into the Carolinas and remained. Yeah. Were you a Game of Thrones fan?
Yeah, sure.
They were wildlings. They were like wildlings. They were maniacs. They would go from village to village, would take wives and steal them and marry them and fuck them. And they were nuts, alcoholics.
And Irish.
Irish guys, the Irish guys.
In Gone with the Wind.
Yep.
She's Katie
O'Hara.
Katie Scarlett O'Hara.
Yep.
And the father has that accent. And I remember when I first saw the movie, I'm like, what the fuck is this? The movie's about the South.
Right.
And it's like, hey, land, Katie Scarlett, land. It's the only thing worth fighting for, worth dying for.
That's right. And they were a certain kind of nutty. And then the really
warlike.
They were warriors. They were wildlings.
Warlike.
And the really nutty ones, thought it would be a good idea to get in a wagon and go into the West. The really nutty ones. I mean, think about it. The nuts came over here. The ones that were super crazy up in the north, already crazy, decided it was a good idea to risk their life to come here. And then, if they were really crazy, put their family in a wagon and go into the Native American territory.
Right.
It's like, it's fucking crazy. And we wonder why we have, you know, if you look at like the mass shooters and stuff, a lot of them it's all in the West. And that doesn't surprise me that much. We were the nutty of the nutty settling out here, and lots of addiction, lots of alcoholism, lots of violence. This country is all filled with people who had the courage and the craziness to run away. My family, Ukraine, run away, get out of there.
Right.
And that's a certain person, that does that, and we are the.
Well, that is one reason why America is so successful, or has been.
It's
because
also our success. Yeah.
Of course, the people who got here were the most ambitious.
Well, ambitious, and also they did not want to be encumbered. They wanted to be free and independent, and it's weird when this latest
You think
term,
we're losing that?
We have. I know a lot of people have. It seems like
No,
it's
I mean,
very
as a
strange.
country, the idea of rugged
individualism.
Rugged individualism.
I think you can make a case that we went too far with that, and to have a little communal respect is not a bad thing. But now we've gone into some sort of weird territory where literally I was out jogging the other day and outside, and a guy with an N95 mask recoiled from me like I was on fire. And it was like,
I want to punch people.
I did too. It made me angry.
I also, when I see young people with a mask walking outside,
it makes me angry.
Alone, I'm just like you. Grow a pair of balls, you fucking pussy. First of all, you've got the good immune system. And I mean, that just says how much that generation was raised to be afraid of their own shadow.
Or we have done such a crazy job of helping people understand how this illness works and who's really at risk and what the risk is. Did you see the study out of Stanford with the bike riding? They took all the bike riders in Stanford and looked at how many were wearing a helmet versus how many wearing a mask. 20% helmet, 60% mask on bikes at Stanford outside, the brightest kids in the country.
I wear a helmet when I masturbate because
you get a little vigorous, you could.
I can't anymore. I don't know.
Early in the pandemic, one of the things I would ask Carolla, I'd say, when do we become such pussies? When did that happen?
Such pussies.
When did that happen? I don't.
Well, it happened slowly. When did it happen? It happened every day over years. I mean,
what do you think of Sean Penn's comments about it being an issue of, this is treacherous territory, but I thought it was, he threw down an interesting gauntlet.
What did he say, Sean Penn?
He said that men essentially become feminized and men need to be men again.
I said that fucking 20 years ago, and I remember it was in my Broadway show in 2003, and boy, I don't think they liked it at the New York Times. It's just, you can't be honest about that. Well, of course I will and fuck everybody, but it's just one of those things. But yes, I had a long thing about how we have become a feminized society in the sense that and it's not like these traits, it's a loaded term, because the traits I don't necessarily think of as being owned by men.
Right.
But, sensitivity over truth. Mm-hmm. That to me is an example of a feminized, and women shouldn't get blamed. They can be just as truthful and not sensitive. Men can be oversensitive too. It's just using those terms, and we should change the terminology for it. But that was the idea of those kind of, safety being more important than anything. And safety is important, but we've lost the balance. Yeah. That's what that means. Yeah. So I may have expressed it.
No, I agree 100%. That is the issue of getting the balance right. It seems out of whack. It's very, very...
Well, we have become pussified, but I mean, every generation thinks that of the one after that. I mean, we were thought of as pussies.
Yeah, that's true. We were.
Aren't we the me generation?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the
that's
boomers?
Us. Yeah.
Okay, we were already me. I remember I used to do that bit about Whitney Houston's, the greatest love of all is happening to me. You remember that song?
Yeah, I do.
It was just something you couldn't imagine 20 years earlier. Somebody singing that anthem to themselves.
That's right.
Me, 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 me. It's just, and then every generation gets more and more,
it seems,
weak and frail. I mean, I thought it was going to reverse optimistically after millennials. I thought Gen Z would go, and no, Gen Zs are even worse.
Really?
Don't you think so?
I don't know. I don't know them well enough yet. I would hope that they were
they're the Jonathan Haidt?
Yeah, Haidt. Yeah.
What is it?
H-A-I-T-T.
I know, but I say it wrong every time. I'm terrible with names. Anyways, a great writer. I think he's the one who identified that all this woke shit that we think of has been going on for a very long time. It's really from 2015. That's when you start with microaggressions and safe spaces and cry rooms, and like it's just like the millennial thing got even crazier.
Yes.
Even more sensitive, like just everything.
Well, there's an interesting kind of piece in there I always thought about, which is, you remember when we were kids, you didn't want to be the man. The man was to be pushed against. You know, it wasn't cool to be the man, right?
Sure.
And I think our generation grew up sort of not wanting to be the man, and therefore not wanting to be the adult either.
Right. Oh, no.
And so college administrators refuse to do their job of being the adult because they don't want to be, they remember when they were in college and were demonstrating against the college administrators, they didn't want to be like them.
Parents refuse to do their job.
It's the same thing. Same thing with parents.
No, and it bleeds all the way through society.
Yeah.
The whole woke thing to me is like the Democrats, the leaders of the party, they're the parents, they're the college administrators. And just like in homes and in colleges, they won't tell the people, the kids, who are acting crazy, you're acting insane.
Right.
Buckle down.
Yeah.
Shut up. Listen. They let them run the asylum.
Yep.
And so they run the media. They run a lot.
Yeah.
And it's the ideas are, very often loony. But it all starts to me with the parenting.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. And I was one of those parents. I was
too lenient.
I was not lenient, and I really, the one thing we didn't talk about at the bar was my kids really worked hard academically, and their peers did too. They were doing all the sports and the this and the, they really worked hard, and we thought about that as evidence of us being, good parents. We were getting them to perform because really that's what our parents were always trying to do to us. We were sort of slackers a little bit in our generation, and we missed the fact that. I don't know somehow we weren't being adult enough with them in terms of how we participated with them and all that.
What do your kids think about the fact that you have such a good sex life with their mother?
That has only become sort of part of the public conversation sort of recently, because I do a show called After Dark with Tom Segura's platform over there.
Isn't that Hefner's show?
It's a little, this is, by the way, a little bit like that, but this, you know what I mean? After Dark stuff. But this show is really sort of a new incarnation of Loveline, but I've had my wife on a few times when she has sort of unloaded some facts, and I was like, all right, here we go.
Can I do it?
Sure, of course, hell yeah, anytime. We do it in Austin, though. You have to be in Austin to do it. Or I can Zoom you in. That's where everybody is for this.
You live in Austin?
No, I'd fly down there to do those podcasts.
Once a week?
No, like once a month.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Austin is becoming the new something.
Yeah.
What? The new what? Buenos Aires? I don't know.
I guess the guys go down there because they want to be
free.
Yeah.
I want to be free too. I mean, there is a lot about California that pisses me off.
Yeah.
But, I tell you, I can't leave Club Random. It's like...
There's a lot here.
There's a lot here. This year, I never understand this. The climate, a giant disaster. The weather, delightful.
Certainly here. It is.
Right?
A little more rain, a little cooler.
We had a little rain.
Yeah, it's good.
Not nearly enough. But am I wrong about that? Was not this 2021? Wasn't the weather basically
gorgeous.
delightful?
Yes, beautiful. Welcome to Southern California. It's funny. I thought of you. Oh shit! I'm having a COVID block. This is what happens to me still.
Yeah. And look who's got the joint in his hand.
Yeah, I know. But I do at least once an hour. I'll do this thing where I'll be in the middle of a conversation, and then it comes back.
Blaming that on COVID?
No, I'll tell you why. With aging, it goes away. It doesn't come back. With COVID, it's back within 180 seconds.
What is?
I thought it just comes back randomly.
No, but you're blaming that on COVID? That you have?
I've only noticed it since COVID. I had the blocking of aging, and it goes away, and that's the end of it. But this is very unique because it goes away and comes back.
I don't have COVID problems like that. I remembered who Ernest Bork. And for you
Come on,
kids,
he was great in Ice Station Zebra. How dare you?
He was great. It's so funny when you're a kid and you watch, in our era, and you watch sitcoms, you're watching people who were movie stars in another era that your parents are aware of.
we didn't know that.
And we didn't know it.
You know,
I didn't know Fred McMurray had a movie career.
Yeah.
I didn't know Ernest Borgnine had a movie career. All these people. And yes, Ernest Borgnine was Marty.
I had the craziest conversation.
But then I loved him on McHale's Navy.
Best,
That's who he
right?
was to me. He's Commander McHale.
100%. And then, wasn't he on the Poseidon Adventure?
Yes, he was. He was married to the whore.
That's right, to Stella
married a
Stevens or
whore.
whatever her name was. But let's stop with
He
the old
married
man.
the hooker, and he was fucking proud of it.
Oh, shit. Now what was I going to say? Now my brain is tiring.
Look,
Too
I
much
have
tequila.
an excuse. It's funny.
I'm drinking your
I have an
tequila.
excuse, and your excuse is
Ernest
COVID.
Borgnine,
That's fucking lame.
I had the craziest conversation with Don Wells. Do you know who Don Wells is?
Of course it is.
Mary Ann from Gilligan's Island.
Mary Ann, when Gilligan got busted for pot, because he lived like in Oklahoma.
Yeah,
He was getting it through the mail. You know who was sending it to him?
Dawn. Yeah, that sounds like her. She was a pretty cool chick. And she told me this story that, what's her name? Natalie Holloway, who played Mrs. Howell. Natalie, yeah, she was a famous movie star. Oh, something else
I didn't know that.
Huge movie
I still
career.
don't know that.
Huge.
Really?
And she said she and Natalie were at Pink's getting a hot dog. Gilligan's Island had been on the air 2 or 3 weeks, and a crowd gathered at the window to watch them eat their hot dogs. and she said, Natalie, she goes, how weird that you have this huge movie career, nobody noticed you, and now we are fucking cartoon characters on television, and people can't get enough of us. And I thought that was a really interesting observation. Isn't that funny?
How great is it, though, that Mary Ann got Gilligan is fucking dope.
Yeah.
And
She cared.
She cared, and she loved him, and and they did a series together, and, you know, that's who everybody becomes friendly with who they work with at work.
Yep. That's right.
I mean, I remember the guy at, was it McDonald's? Yeah, I think he was the CEO of McDonald's. I think he had to step down because he was dating someone people meet people at the office.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how you manage it. You have to get attorneys involved just to have the relationship.
But
you
that's
would.
where people meet.
I know what you're saying, but there's been a history of abuse of authority, right? And so when there's a positional imbalance, the person underneath gets protected by the law.
But that should be if the woman is complaining about it.
Yeah, I know. I agree
This
with
is
you.
not.
It's infantilizing to the partner. That's
correct.
It's a little bit problematic.
I don't think the McDonald's dude, again, I'm not a fact checker, but I don't think that was a case of he'd done me wrong.
Yeah.
I think it's a case of I got the look across the room from Stacy from accounting, and we started dating because we're humans, and it's working for us. And now you all come in. You know, I remember Elliot Spitzer, the disgraced, because he, you know,
Saw a prostitute.
in Washington. It's funny because he was always like volunteering to do testimony in Washington because that's where the hooker was.
Oh.
So it'd be like, you know, this child tax credit thing, I'm awfully good on it. So he had an excuse to go to Washington, yeah. And I say that, I like the guy, but I always thought that was kind of funny, you know.
Funny.
Amber's Law, I think I could be a real voice on that. You know,
Victimless crimes? Well, I got something to say about that.
Mohair subsidies, I have been all over that issue for a long time.
I'll tell you what is troubling, though, is that so many people that project stuff that's going on in them out to the world. That's a problem.
Hasn't it always been?
That's been
You think
out
it's
of
a
control.
narcissistic
It's a
thing?
narcissistic thing, and it's been out of control lately. That people see the things they disavow in themselves and everybody else.
Yes.
And projecting and mind reading and all that stuff is very destructive. It's not how it works. And that's kind of how
That's
we're.
because you're a fucking egomaniac.
Well.
So, my friend Jimmy has all kinds of troubles lately. And he recently told me that he has found the solution, a Helix mattress. He's obsessed with it, can't stop talking about it. It's all I ever hear. Helix, Helix, Helix. easy to unbox. The sleep quiz was super easy, and how he wakes up feeling rested and refreshed. I'm like, I think I liked you better when you were exhausted. Bottom line, Helix is awesome. Helix Sleep has a quiz that takes just 2 minutes to complete and matches your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. Everybody's unique, and Helix knows that, so they have several different mattress models to choose from. So if you're looking for a mattress, you take the quiz. You order the mattress that you're matched to, and the mattress comes right to your door, shipped for free. Helix was awarded the #1 best overall mattress pick of 2021 and by GQ and Wired magazine. Helix leads the nation in putting chiropractors out of business. Just go to helixsleep.com/random, take their 2-minute sleep quiz, and they'll match you to a customized mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life. They have a 10-year warranty, and you get to try it out for 100 nights risk-free. Helix even has financing options and flexible payment plans, so a great night's sleep is never far away. Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/random. Julia Child is back. The original celebrity chef, the trailblazer, the feminist icon, the woman who made America fall in love with French cuisine and who turned cooking into a spectator sport. Listen to Dishing on Julia, the companion podcast to the HBO Max original series, Julia, where host Kerry Diamond interviews the show's creatives, cast, and crew for some delicious behind-the-scenes insight. Stream new episodes of Julia on HBO Max and listen to Dishing on Julia wherever you get your podcasts.
But you know what's interesting? I've also noticed one thing that COVID taught me is that people have a fundamental bias. They either have an optimism bias or a pessimism bias. And mine's an optimism bias. I'm a little, I want to cheer on, I want to move through, I want to minimize the negative. And that today is considered dangerous or something. The pessimism bias controlling.
What determines which one you get? Because
we don't know. It's just sort of a cognitive bias. You know, why people arrive at the certain biases they have. I have trouble telling where yours are. I always thought you had a little pessimism bias.
You know what? It depends. You know, I always say if there's something to worry about, I will worry about it.
Yeah.
So it's made me a very careful person in my life in general because I don't want to give myself something to worry about.
Yeah.
Also, I don't do anything bad, you know?
I know.
I was raised by Bill and Julie Maher.
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing, and they didn't raise an asshole.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, I certainly have been at my moments, you know, likewise. The days
we discussed it tonight
yes,
already.
with Chris. I mean,
It's Chris's
we
fault.
were unholy terrorists, like in the 90s. We really were. But boy, did we have a good time. But if I was my 28-year-old self, I would say, you know, I was born on the cusp, astrologically,
Of?
Aquarius and Capricorn. When I was in my 20s, I put credence into this. I don't like completely disavow anything because we don't know what the fuck, but I really don't. I don't know, but it's funny how seductive it is when you hear the... Anyway, they did the chart and they said, 2 people, they said, you were born at 10:32 at night, you were to the minute on the cusp.
Wow.
And Aquarius is supposed to be like creative, you know, that's, you know, a lot of ideas.
It's more optimism. Yeah.
Capricorn, the goat, is more like you get things done, you know, and there's many ways I can only be singular, you know. Anything I try to do where you have to use like a lot at once, like piano, couldn't ride a motorcycle, you know, I could never play drums. I'm good at, I can't write a screenplay really because it's many characters. I'm good at focusing on one thing and telling you, this is what I think, this is what it is, and drive toward a point. That's the Capricorn.
You know, it's interesting, and yet within that you have creative insights.
That's why I think, again, this is like my sex makes you live longer theory. I'm just pulling it out of my ass, kind of. But astrologically, it's like I get the ideas from the Aquarius side, and then the Capricorn makes them, because Aquarius tend to like go off in the air and you have too many at once.
Well, let's at least say this. Whatever it is, just words describing concepts, it does accurately describe your constitution.
So maybe I'm both optimist and pessimist.
It's kind of how I experience you.
I mean, I can turn to pessimism, but I gotta not if I have to suffer. That would be bad, I mean.
Well, but for instance, I mean, the pessimists were definitely in control during COVID. Everything, and just the fact that you're saying you got to live, you have to take risks. Well, that's all the optimism bias.
But some people are happy or not happy, sort of not based on the things which you would think would make them happy or not happy. Whereas I think mine are actually aligned to that. No one gets to this age without having had health issues. I've had them. We're not going to go into detail. But when you have to think about your health all the time for a period, I'm sure you've had the same thing.
I have all kinds of shit
nothing is really fun. Nothing is really good.
You're getting me on the end of an episode of diverticulitis, which had me so fatigued and what
is that?
Diverticulitis. It's
I've heard the word.
Okay, these are outpouching from your. It's like having appendicitis on the left side as opposed to the right, caused by a little different process. And
what causes
genetics? These little pouches in your colon, they get infected and filled, and you get sick. And it knocked me down for 3 weeks. And I just started feeling normal today.
How do they treat it?
Well, antibiotics, lots of antibiotics, and then
terrible.
And then now that this has gotten so bad for me, they got to cut out that piece of colon. So I'm going to see a surgeon on Monday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I'm sick of this shit. I want to take care of it. This is ridiculous. Getting old sucks. Look how my prostate's out.
But you look great.
I look great. I still fuck my wife regularly.
Yes. That. Can I ask you a question about that?
Please. I know that intrigues you greatly.
It so does. And this is a question I kind of want to ask any married person. I'm not in a snarky way. I'm just because it's based on remember. I've been in long-term relationships.
Yes.
When you're in a long-term relationship where you've already been with the person a lot.
Yeah.
You're living together.
Yeah.
How do you know when to throw down?
Sex?
Throw down.
It is.
I just I never understood that.
It is different for different couples at different times.
Is there a cue?
It's weirder than that because I tell you why. Because sometimes women have this thing where they want to be approached, and then they find it unappealing when you do. It's like this weird come after me, but not right. It's weird. They can be sort of.
They want to affirm that they're attractive.
They want to know that
actually bone you
sometimes. But and so they're usually usually what happens is the relationship works out a set of cues. You sort of set up.
That was
some
my
cues.
guess.
And the more playful, the more funny they can be, the better they to be utilized. And be prepared to have your partner say not right now, but make sure that everyone's getting their needs met regularly. So not right now, it's not that big a deal. You don't feel deflated by it. People always ask me, what is this? I am as into my wife now as I was when I first met her, and that's insane. That's insane.
You're the luckiest man.
So A, it's lucky. B, it was my instinct that I really, really, really was into this person. She's a specimen, still at 60 or 60, whatever. And
Suzanne Summers talks like this.
I know. I've heard her say it. I've heard her say the same thing.
Do you ever think of cheating with her?
No, not recently.
Trying to fuck up your life, which is working perfectly, except for the diverticulitis. That's a nightmare.
And then the other thing, it's like recovery from alcoholism. It's one day at a time.
What do you mean?
In the sense that today I'm just as into it as I was yesterday, and as long as I'm into it today, I probably will be into it tomorrow. It's kind of interesting.
It's like you have amnesia. It's like there must be a certain amnesia because the vast majority of men, what is exciting is newness.
New.
That bit I used to do in my old act that made anyone who's with a stick up their ass hate me had a bit about that because it was after the Hugh Grant thing.
Yeah.
And I said, it's like, how could he do it? He has Elizabeth Hurley at home. And I was explaining to them, it's not about beautiful or not. It's about old or new. Okay. It's not about big tits or small tits or blonde hair. It's like old and...
That has a name. Do you know what it's called? It's called the Coolidge Effect.
The Coolidge Effect?
Do you know why it's called the Coolidge Effect?
Because Calvin Coolidge was a famous pussy hound.
Well, that. But...
No,
they used to maintain federal farms. And once a year, the First Lady and the President would go tour the farms. It's just sort of formality.
Oh, so it is Calvin Coolidge.
Calvin Coolidge.
Okay.
Who went to my college.
They toured the farms?
Toured the federal farms. They maintained federal farms. And one year, the
Why, for a famine or something?
I don't know what the history is of why we had that. It sounds like a post-Civil War kind of thing that went into the early 20th century. And the First Lady was the first group to arrive at the chicken coop. And the farmer held up his prize rooster and said, Mrs. First Lady, I just want to point out to you, this is our prize rooster. He can copulate at least 100 times a day.
Oh.
To which Mrs. Coolidge said, please point that out to the president when he comes around. And the farmer was deflated and embarrassed. And so she moves on. And now the president comes, Calvin Coolidge is there. He goes, Mr. President, your wife, the First Lady, asked me to point out to you our prize rooster who's able to copulate at least 100 times a day. To which Coolidge said, with the same chicken? And that became the Coolidge Effect.
Is that like in books?
If you Google it, if you Wikipedia it, you'll find the Coolidge Effect.
He was known as Silent Cal.
Yep.
He apparently was very not loquacious.
Yeah.
And the story is some woman came up to him at a White House event and said, my husband bet me I couldn't get 3 words out of you tonight. And he said, you lose.
He was apparently very funny and very clever.
Well,
but very, what do they call it?
Of all the Coolidge stories I tell, I'm only going to tell about 4 or 5 more.
He went to my college, so I heard all about it when he went to Amherst College, like I did. So, oh my goodness. This is so fun. God bless Club Random.
You need to, come here more.
I'll come.
It sounds like...
I'll come here.
I never really got high with you, and drunk and fucked up. You're really a great company. I always liked you, but I never knew you like this.
Well, let's do more of this. I'm delighted to be. I always had affection for you, and I had admiration for your thinking. You don't back down from what you know to be rationally so, and that's that.
It gets more and more onerous to do that.
It seems like it, but more and more important, though.
Well, one reason I wanted to do this is because, I am giving up nothing from my real job.
Right.
I am not stealing 1 minute from my normal work week. I work on that show a lot.
I bet.
And this, obviously not at all. It's a completely different thing. It's a difference between a jam band and making Sgt. Pepper.
That's
Not that I'm really making either one, but...
No, that's right. And people want to hang out at the jam band, hear you play.
Hopefully they want to do both.
Yeah.
But the stress in, just this atmosphere we live in, where everyone is just trying at all times to just get a scalp on the wall. They don't, it's so much bad faith.
It's a great word.
They don't care about social justice, half of them. They just want to find something to get somebody on,
Yeah.
And in that atmosphere, it's like people can't relax the way they used to. I remember one of the shows we did after 9/11. Obviously not the one where I got fired from, but one of those. Or maybe it was that show. Maybe it was early in that show. And one of the guests said, we're all sitting here very nervous, like we could get lost or canceled. They didn't have the word canceled, but that's what he was saying. It may have been one of the first references to that phenomenon.
Interesting.
We're all worried that we're going to say the wrong thing. Maybe it is it must have been after when I was going to be a goner. Okay. And I feel like that's now a permanent condition.
Fixture, yeah, it is a permanent condition.
And my goal was always from the beginning in TV, can I get real talk on television? Because usually the two are just so far from each other.
I know.
I mean, I like a lot of these hosts personally, but, the show is just not like them. Mm-hmm. And it's always been an effort to get more and more.
You're going to love doing this.
I do love doing
because
this.
It's
what I would be doing anyway on a Wednesday
It's what you've been doing anyway. It's authentic, and you don't have all that infrastructure. You can just deliver yourself directly to an audience who wants to hang out with you.
It feels like you're always in a lot of areas, but certainly media. You have to be like one step ahead of the law. as far as like,
It's so true.
you know,
Right.
like
right.
where can we go that we're not like hounded and I'm sure they'll fucking overregulate this shit and you know it's always but it's funny that my image of podcasting, you know, sometimes you have I'm sure you know, something stuck in your brain and then one day you realize, oh, I needed to update that 4 years ago, you know.
Yeah.
And you don't because you didn't think about it. So
Yeah.
you still have the old. And until a couple of years ago, my last image of podcasting was like when it was new.
Yeah.
And
It was different.
A lot of guys were getting it, and it was like, and I heard about friends of mine, and so I told my agents one day, it's like, why can't I get a podcast? And they went, you fucking moron. The people who bring podcasts want what you have.
Yes. That's right.
Yes. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But that changed.
That changed.
I mean, and again, my love is my real show.
Yeah.
I feel like it's for grown-ups.
Yeah.
But the amount of grown-ups in America is getting smaller and smaller.
I would argue
This is for everybody.
Yeah, I agree with that. but I would argue your voice has become.
I hope so. But again, it's only the grown-ups watching. I mean, last week we talked, the subjects were, I thought about it, I said, the subjects were the ACLU and NATO. Now, if I said that to the average person on the street, under 40 especially, what's that?
Yeah.
Which one? Both. Do they know what the ACLU is? Do they know what
Many
NATO
would not.
is?
Many would not.
I will never not want to do the show for grown-ups because, I do think it's important. Where this country is really going to come apart in 4 years.
Well, it's time for the grown-ups to be adult, the adults in the room to be adults. It's time. It really is.
And who do you define as the adults?
Well, you know, people that are willing to speak honestly and frankly, and it's just and people to say no to other people. You know, there's
and not be so partisan, and be like, you know, not everything has to be either Trump or woke. You know,
isn't that weird?
I mean, that's why I feel the thing I did last week on the show was about kind of like barking back at the people who say, maybe you've changed. I'm like, I didn't.
Oh, I saw that.
Oh,
I get that shit too. That's what the LA Times,
Right,
the LA Magazine articles.
Right.
He used to be so smart.
I didn't
I've not
change.
changed at all.
Right.
You all have changed.
Exactly.
You have moved the goalposts. You have changed
Exactly.
everything. I am exactly the way I always was.
Me too.
Yeah.
I said, I am the same pot-smoking, unmarried, childless libertine I always was. I said, you can accuse me of a lot of things, but not maturing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come to Club Random.
Yeah, it's the same.
And
I haven't seen you.
No, and
Corolla gets a lot of this too, and he is exactly the same, saying precisely the same
But
stuff.
he was
he's
always
said.
more right-wing than I was, I think.
Yeah. You
But
guys are
not
different.
crazy right-wing.
But neither of you are saying. I'm not hearing you say anything different than I heard you say 15 years ago.
No. I mean, they changed the goalposts.
Oh my God.
And so, but that's okay because I feel like there is I hear it from people all the time. There is a hunger for what we're talking about.
Yes.
People have not completely forgotten sanity.
Correct.
And common sense.
Correct.
I'm getting on the road for the first time ever, politically mixed audiences.
Oh, that's interesting.
That never happened.
That's good. That's healthy.
Very good.
Yeah.
And I see, like, I'll do Trump, lots of scathing Trump jokes, and they're like, there are Trumpers there who are like not really buying it, but they laugh.
They laugh at it. It's funny. Funny is funny.
And he's a preposterous figure. They understand that, you know? I mean, so, and then liberals have said, look, I see some people like, when I start, I mean, I see some of that. But basically everybody is laughing together. Yeah. We got to get back to that. Well, I mean, this country has got to get back to not hating each other, to be able to sit down with anybody.
We always look to comedy for that. I mean, where have the comedians been? And the comedians usually push back on the man instead of they become the man. They become the man. Same with the musicians. Neil Young, you think Neil Young wasn't out there fighting against the Vietnam War?
That's what I thought.
He became the man all of a sudden. You are the man, dude. That thing you hated the most. It's unbelievable.
You're so right about that. Yeah. That's such a perfect, great theme.
Yeah.
And it's sort of, I mean, it's almost inevitable as we age, that a lot of people are going to get picked off by that. I remember being at a party about 5 years ago, and I'm not going to say who it was, but a Hollywood actor, never a giant star as an actor, but kind of an iconic figure, and about 10, 15 years older than me. I certainly saw him in movies when I was a kid and wanted to be him.
Yeah.
And I saw him at this party, and I don't know, we got to talking. I used to hang out with him a little bit. He was such a, great looking, but also like nice, like played against type. So he told me that night that not only had Obama ruined the country, but he did it on purpose. And I'm like, yeah, on purpose.
Tell me more.
Right. And it's like, wow, you got sucked into the Fox News vortex. People do. They get sucked into this vortex.
Well, they get it both because I'm such a moderate independent.
Right.
I see the vortices on both
I
sides.
do too. No,
they drive me crazy.
No, and people get sucked into a woke vortex, and that's like, where did your mind go?
A friend of mine just told me about a conspiracy theory. I had not heard it. He was stunned that I had not heard it, and I felt guilty that I had not heard it. He said, "You help me out with this." That there was a conspiracy amongst the state attorney generals, I think he said, to be able to decertify elections in multiple states. So if Trump loses the next election, they'll be able to overturn it.
Oh, yeah.
I never heard this. It's kind of crazy.
It's all this stuff is coming out now about how much Trump tried to steal, how much he
tried to steal. But going forward, this is a thing?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's going to be worse. And that's why I keep saying, if you have a time you want to be out of the country for a couple of months, January 2025 is when the shit is going to hit the fan.
You've said it, yeah.
And I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, isn't it funny the way the world's coming apart, but outside of medical issues, life doesn't seem horrible.
Life's never been better.
Never been better?
In terms of how long we live, how well we live, how nourished we are.
For you personally?
Has my life ever been better? No, the last 2 years pretty much sucked. But in spite of them sucking, I had a lot of sources of real happiness and enjoyed a lot of things.
It's like, of course, would you want to be 30 years younger for health reasons? Of course.
Yeah.
But would I want to go back?
No.
Because if I still had to have that dumbass brain, that's what
And I was deep in workaholism, painful workaholism. I was.
Just on a health level. Even though my body is much, of course, less able to fend off bad and create good at this age, I still think I'm healthier because I'm so much smarter about it. The things I used to do to myself, sometimes knowingly, sometimes unknowingly, I feel like I'm so much smarter about it. And so,
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Speaking of doing things I want to do, one of the things I did, was one of the many things I was going to bring up with you. Well, let me bring up the two things that had fled my mind and now I remember. One was I go down to Texas to do podcasts, and when I'm down there, they immediately go, "Oh yeah, we're free to do whatever. No one gets in the way. We're free to do anything we want." And I thought it was kind of libertarian. And when they say that to you, it scares you. You go, well, "Not everything." It's weird how when some people really talk about freedom, it's excessive. I understand people wanting to control what comes out of factories, and you know what I mean, and clear the air, and maybe secondhand smoke, so they went a little too far, but we can get the balance right, perhaps.
Now, tell me this, as a person who studies the brain. As you were saying that, I just remembered you singing karaoke
down here
across the
way. It was you and me, not just me. It was the two of us.
That I don't remember.
I think I have the picture on my phone.
Oh, no. Okay, I believe you. I trust you.
And I think we were doing...
Now, why did I just remember that? And all
maybe
night long I've been talking to you. And
maybe something about the way I said it or something.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, I remember that. Our brains are very interesting instruments. I've spent my life
interesting the way they move the furniture. And I've always been a good caveman. By that, I mean, I've left evidence for myself of my past. I used to diligently write a journal. I'd spend a whole day writing it like I was writing it to the world.
Yeah, John Adams.
Really, I'd have a first draft. I'm writing to me. Every 3 months, I had it the 7th day of January in April.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And I did it for years and years and years.
I feel bad that I didn't. I'm jealous that you did that. Is there anything worthwhile in it?
Well, you can check things. The point I was making was that I remembered, I was telling this story, this hysterical thing that happened once with me, and this has to be about late 80s, 90. I was in a long relationship, and my girlfriend and I were somewhere on the road. I did probably a comedy club or something, and I remembered it as Washington, D.C. I could have sworn I would have bet the house. And the story was, it was after the show, we wanted to get dinner, we come up to this restaurant, and like they're literally just coming up to the door to put the close sign.
Oh, yeah.
They all want to go home.
Yeah.
And the owner sees that there's 2 customers, and he tells the guy, let him in, and they're like, and the speed with which the dinner came, and like everything, because they wanted to leave, we were like in tears laughing. It's like, oh yes, and I'll have the, thank you. It was, and then literally the vacuum while we're still eating,
That's hysterical.
And I could have sworn this happened in Washington, D.C., and in my diary, whatever, it was London.
Well, our memories are notoriously inaccurate. Notoriously.
Really?
They're repeatedly reconstructed units, and if we make a mistake in one of the reconstruction, it sticks.
You mean you're not Sanjay Gupta?
No, that's not me. And there's different qualities of memory too. Have you interviewed what's her name from Taxi?
I think we're going to do that here.
She has Mary Lou Henner has perfect autobiographical. I had an experience where
Isn't that amazing?
I remembered watching her with David Letterman on The Tonight Show in 1979, and she told me exactly what she was wearing and what their conversation was. And because I was very depressed watching it, and I remembered it for some reason. That's exactly how I remembered it.
It is amazing the complete whatever it is panoply of thought, from idiot to like normal people like us, to like people like that who have a special quality like that, or like I always say, everything that we love is because of like 20 people in history, 20 scientists who discovered the basic things. Why is there electricity?
Oh yeah.
Like it's a very small number of people, and they stood on each other's shoulders often, but Einstein and Newton and Copernicus and these people, and they figured out shit looking at the planets about light and infrared and how all this works. And so we just sit here comfortably in our soft underwear with electricity and there's heat. And could we figure out how to do any of it?
No. This is the extraordinary phenomenology of the human experience, which is alone, we are helpless and worthless, but in a social setting, standing on the shoulders of one another,
but especially in that area.
Science.
We just glommed on
technology.
Luckily, there was just this tiny, tiny, tiny percentage of people at the very top
that could do it,
who could figure it out. And they really should have gotten bigger royalties. I'm just saying, if I was the agent for Isaac Newton, I would have asked for a much bigger upfront.
He lost everything in the South.
Piece of
he lost
back end of gravity.
He lost everything in the South Sea bubble. He gambled on the South Sea bubble and lost everything.
What, tulips?
It was like tulips, but it was a land speculation thing.
Really?
Yeah, isn't that funny?
A lot of those old dudes who did so much.
Well, how about the fact that they're all discarded now because they're old white dudes? That's really scary. That's unfortunate.
Even Isaac Newton, what did he do? Put his dick on someone's. I'll knock that apple off with my dick. That was the Isaac Newton story you never heard. What did he do? Really?
I don't know any of these guys. They just were hardworking scientists.
I know. So who's been canceled? I mean, they canceled Columbus.
Yep.
Because he had slaves, as everyone.
Well, I hear this mostly in the realm of philosophy. Like the philosophical discourse has no meaning because it's a bunch of old white guys thinking about things.
Well, I mean, there is that. I mean, that's another thing I do in my act, just because it just drives me nuts. It's like young people who think that they're somehow being enlightened by judging people from hundreds of years ago. And my argument always is to them is, do you think if you lived back then, you'd have been fucking Nostradamus?
Right.
And we're like, oh no,
Yeah.
I can see that, no you wouldn't. You would have done what everyone did back then.
If you were way ahead of your curve and were a highly moral person, you would have felt uncomfortable or concerned about it and still done it. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think it crossed their minds.
Yeah.
You know whose minds it did not cross that slavery was wrong?
Who's that?
Everyone in the Bible.
Right.
It
Yeah.
just doesn't cross their mind.
Yeah.
No one, they make a million rules about slavery, like if a man kills your slave, you may kill his slave. but no one ever went, how about let's not do it.
There was no slavery thing.
Like, no.
That's maybe God didn't like that. That's right.
Okay, that never, I don't think it came up in the meeting. I really don't. It's just that's where people were.
Yeah. We evolve. We evolve in our ideas. We evolve biologically.
Right. I mean, in 80,000 BC,
Yeah.
would you not characterize sex as rape? Probably.
I'm sure a lot of it was. Yeah. If not exclusively.
I don't think it would. That's what I mean. Like animals don't ask each other out to dinner.
Yeah.
I think we were still sort of in the animal phase.
Yeah.
Where, she bent over at the stream and showed her bulbous buttocks.
Yeah.
And, maybe this is still working for you.
Antics ensue.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it's just my wife that does that to me.
A guy came up behind and, you see that, should we cancel that?
I know.
They were technically humans.
Well, that's the insanity.
Og and, Fred Flintstone.
The insanity of all this is that inconsistency in the reality of evolution of history. That we're supposed to be...
Well, just as humans evolve
Yeah.
as we grow older, so does mankind in general.
Yeah,
Yes.
society evolves, morality evolves,
Right.
ideas evolve.
We're doing it actually faster than we used to.
Than we maybe should even. That's part of the problem.
Right, but morally, in
Yeah.
general, I'm certainly on the page of the way we've evolved with civil rights.
Absolutely.
Obvious, of course.
Yeah.
It's actually insulting that we even have to sort of say it.
Yes.
It should be assumed. Trust me.
Yes.
We're basic liberals who've always believed in everyone should be treated equally and with dignity, and with gay stuff. Oh, we've all been good spokesmen for that forever. I mean, it's so.
I think there was a shift from equality of opportunity to equality of outcome.
That's a different, yes.
Yeah,
and
I think that sort of shifted
and
things
now
a bit.
that is debatable.
Yeah.
And that's something that should be debated.
Yeah.
But, it's just a shame that, going back to what we were saying, you're always sort of suspect in a way that, oh, come on. Haven't we earned
this is that projection. I know.
Haven't we earned a little trust?
Well, this is, like I said,
that
I've got a
we're
hit
not
article.
fucking Nazis.
I've got a hit article coming out on me to that effect. Like, he used to be this.
Really?
Now, supposedly, that's what I'm
A
hearing.
hit article?
Yeah, I'll bring it to you. LA Magazine, something like
For
that.
fuck's sake.
And it's all that stuff. It's like, he's so different now. Or it's all that projection of their disgusting material that they're putting on us.
So
I've been the
true.
same forever. I've not changed.
Right.
And you have a bunch of stuff you're pouring out into the world that you ought to look at.
I always say about the media, it's never about the truth. It's always about a narrative.
Oh my God, which is to me the weirdest thing in the world as a scientist. That's insane.
But
That's
that's the
insane.
truth.
It's absolutely true.
I don't think I think it has ever been thus. I just think it's worse now. I think they just don't care.
But the narrative's more important than the truth.
That's
the problem. The only thing,
Like Dr. Drew is the same guy. It's not a narrative.
Right.
That's the truth.
That's exactly
the
right.
narrative is Dr. Drew changed.
Yes,
See,
here's
that's
some
a
horrible
narrative.
things he did. Yeah.
Doc, my battery's dying.
Yeah.
And then
my agent battery is dying too, metaphorically.
And also my microphone's dying. Great to
Really a pleasure.
fucking chew the shit with you.
We got to hang out some more.
Yeah,
I'm coming
we'll
to Club
do it.
Random. I'm coming.